We during that entire time, we never passed a car. We never passed a car after we had stopped.
Was it quiet?
Silent.
The light?
Not a peep, not a sound out of it.
What color was it?
Blindingly bright white. Very bright.
Can you account for all your findings?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't remember a lot after we turned around and what really happened, but I did do a regression with Mary Kennedy, one of our Ufo I Team members, who's an expert at that. And what I did come up with was a vision of a oval, light, hazy blue with two gray forms. One was tall and one was smaller. They were upright as like humans. However, they weren't in an exact human shape. And I had that vision during the regression, and then I had the feeling of laying flat. But that's all I got out of the regression. But it's something that I had never visioned before.
It's similar to that.
So in other words, you hadn't remembered that during your encounter. Matter of fact, I think you told us that you really don't know what the heck happened after you turned around and how long this thing would have followed you.
That's right.
That's a little hazy in your mind, huh?
Yes, that's correct.
And then, of course, now you're being regressed by Mary Kennedy, who is a certified hypnotherapist and regressionist from the Dolores Cannon method of hypnotherapy, very highly regarded hypnotherapist. And these things are coming out now, huh?
It came out in our regression. We've only done one session, but that was my vision. And she asked me if I was frightened, and I said no. I felt very calm and comforted. So it wasn't that we had the post-traumatic syndrome after, as you described the brothers. Neither my sister or I have had any of the post-traumatic syndrome after that encounter.
That Mary and her friend were stopped with a bright light in Idaho. You know that?
Oh,
Mary Kennedy and her friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know when it was though. The 80s maybe. But they were traveling through Idaho, and it's a real similar story.
Well, and then you have another friend.
Yeah.
That had an Idaho thing. You want to mention?
Oh, yes.
Mention
well,
that?
last week we interviewed my friend Pat Wickham, who was living in Sun Valley, Idaho at the time, working for the Forest Service. And it was that same summer, and she had seen 5 to 6 cattle mutilations. It looked like they had been lasered, and their reproductive organs were missing in their tongues. And the FBI showed up and said this is not only occurring here in Idaho, but it has been occurring in Wyoming, Montana, and Utah. So Pat explained to us last week what it was like to see the mutilated cattle. And that was the same time frame.
And didn't she have something else that she witnessed other than just the cattle mutilation? What was the other thing?
UFOs.
That's right.
She saw red, blue, and white streaks of UFOs in the Stanley Basin, which is up over Galena Summit and down into the Stanley Basin. And she saw lights that was zigzagging across the sky in very unusual moves, unlike any aircraft that you would ever see.
So that's all in the same area. We're talking Jacques McCandlish has a friend in that same area that saw something, and you saw something yourself, Bree, and then you had a friend that saw something in that same general.
And Mary Kennedy.
And Mary Kennedy, holy mackerel.
And there is an Air Force base in that area.
Okay.
Also.
And you're meeting Mary
You have to
Kennedy
talk
here.
really
You're
loud.
meeting Mary Kennedy here, like coming together. I don't know, it just kind of seems like people with the experiences kind of
end up connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the woman that I did the investigation on, the Snohomish life psychology. She has 3 incredible videos in Snohomish near Harvey Field of these triangular UFOs. They're just marvelous. I mean, I want to do 3D printed models of her. They're slightly different from ones I saw. They had these twinkling lights in the center. You know, they're like these black shaped triangles, or at least 3 lights, isosceles triangles in the sky, and kind of enormous. I mean, the videos are impressive. But she wants to come out more about it. She's kind of was anonymous about it for a while. It took me a couple of months to convince her just to do a investigation, you know, on our Facebook page. But she finally did it. Now she wants to come to the meeting, and she wants to see how I present her story in September. So she's starting to kind of, and there was another.
I know she was. Sorry. I know she was very reticent at first to kind of come out in public, and then you have befriended her and kind of helped her along with that, right?
Yeah, she was in kind of a denial after she told the whole story to me. She said, maybe it's just not what I would think it is. I said, well, let me see the videos. She wouldn't let me see the videos, It drove me crazy. And then she finally sent 3 videos to me. And I'm like, no, this is something special. You saw something special. She goes, yeah, I know. I know it's special, but I just can't believe it, I go, yeah, you kind of question yourself because everything changes. When you see something like that, the physics and the way we've been taught and everything is probably not correct. Nature has other things to share, that we just are starting to learn. So.
It's very similar to my experience with Jen and Jacques when we were up in Glacier.
Matter of fact, you might want to tell us about that because we've been hearing about this the last couple of days since last week, and this happened last weekend. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I was.
Now, if you can speak up very loud, that microphone there is the only one thing that will pick you up. No, but you gotta watch the folks at home too. So go ahead.
That way and talk loud.
Just talk loud.
Okay. All right. So I went on my first night sit with the Ufo I Team and some other people up north by the Canadian border, and I didn't know what to expect. The only time I'd ever been around UFO people was coincidentally last year around this time down at East City. And
interesting.
I know. And
which we're going to next weekend.
I know. And I had never heard of it. It was just a chance thing. A friend said that they couldn't go and gave me their tickets, so I went. I didn't spend the night and just so I had heard nothing about it, and we couldn't see the mountain. It was, couldn't really see the sky much. Some people asked me to go and use my dancing ribbon to calm the fairies because I have kind of fairy energy. And
you want to explain what the heck a dancing ribbon is? Because that's exciting.
It's a silk ribbon. Mine, well, it doesn't have to be silk. It's just a ribbon tied to a stick, basically. They use them in gymnastics.
Oh, yes, right.
So I had a silk rainbow one. And I was just waving that around, and all these orbs came in. And I had only had an orb experience up by Glacier, up at Mount Baker when I was a kid, but they were just big basketball-sized, solid balls of light. So it's not like the typical orb, what I've been learning since 4 years ago when I had the Sasquatch thing. I've been opening up.
Let's get to what the heck you saw last weekend. Okay, keep on track here.
So I saw those balls of light back then, so I was excited to go back up to Mount Baker. And as soon as I got out of the car, I went walking down the path, and I heard a Sasquatch grunt, like a deep grunt. And I was with Tish, the mystic, and I asked if
UFO I Team member?
Yes. And I asked if she had heard that, and she didn't. And she had done a meditation to meet Sasquatch in that area before. So
I remember that.
Yeah, and so it's kind of interesting. And then we walked a little bit more and heard the deep grunt, and I looked at her, and she goes, I heard that. And so I looked in the direction, and I saw eye glow or eye shine during the day, which I've only seen that down by...
Oh, during the day?
Yeah, and I'd only seen eye shine that bright down by where we're going, by Mount Adams. And but this was during the day, so I was a little surprised. I'm like, hello. And I asked if she could see it. She got in front of me, but she was too short. I wanted to lift her up so she could see it, but that would have been weird. And
Tish is short.
Yeah, shorter than me, yeah. So we started walking back, and he grunted again on our way back. And so I was really excited because we just got out of the car. And we got back, I started telling everybody, and there was a couple of people who were skeptical, like, oh, yeah, the Sasquatch girl gets out of the car, sees the Sasquatch right away. And then there was this huge wood knock, which, again, I don't get a lot of those, so it was just nice. It was like I picked up a big log, smashed against a tree, and got that on video. I think he was recording audio.
Really?
Lee. Yeah, he had the thing going.
Lee Strauss was with you.
Yeah, and he said, "That's a wood knock if I've ever heard one." It was very loud.
Oh, and Lee would know a wood knock. I'll tell you that. He's had some very interesting close encounters himself with Bigfoot's actually throwing basketball-sized boulders across the path that he was walking on up in the North Cascades.
Wow. And that's where we usually go around there. But he did tell me at the very end that he had such experience, but he didn't tell me about it. So then later that, when it started to get dark, I was dancing with my silk ribbon because I thought, maybe that will, I don't know, I try to get their attention. And
I'd get my attention.
Yeah, and then there was this light. I mean, I was pointing out things. What's that? And they're like, that's Mars, that's a satellite. But then there was this light that got bright, smaller and bright, and was coming straight. And then it seemed like it curved. And so I kind of went back towards the group because I was a little like, what is that? And he said he got that on camera too.
Lee did.
Yeah, Lee did.
Okay,
And
so tell us what happened this weekend.
Well, so then the next day, that's all right. Okay, so then
Keep going.
the next day, we were trying to meet with the group. We were up the mountain. It took us forever. Anyway, we get back. There was no activity. We get back to the area. There's no camera equipment. Everything else is gone. There's just a few of us. And I just had a feeling to look over at the mountain. And I looked,
Mount Baker.
Yep.
Okay.
I looked over at Mount Baker, and there was this huge orange ball of light. And it was where Mars was the day before. But this was later at night, and I'm looking, and I'm like...
Was it bigger than Mars, this huge ball of light?
It took up the top of the mountain. Yeah, it was the...
Well, it wasn't on Mount Baker. It was actually on the ridge before Mount Baker.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Well, when I first saw it, it was off to the right, and then it got big, it changed colors, and then it scanned a bright beam of light where they were logging, and I was like, what is that? What is that? And
really?
Nobody was looking up there because...
You have a knack for that, Sam.
I know.
Seeing things when no one else is looking.
Well, but then, so, it was shrunk down, it was changing colors. I'm like, what is that? So I ran over to him, and I'm like...
You mean Jacques McCandlish was there?
Well, we just got out of the car.
Yeah.
He noticed it.
He was getting stuff out of his trunk. So I went over and I'm like shaking his arm. Well, it kind of shrunk back down. And I'm like, oh, great. And so he looked up, and it was smaller.
Yeah.
I'll let you
It was like
tell
red.
it.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, you got to jump in there and kind of corroborate what she's saying every
Well,
once
she
in a
saw
while.
most of it. I saw the tail end of it, and then it turned white after I saw it.
Yeah. So he did see it change colors, but it was still small. So he's like, like he wasn't sure what it was, and it was starting to rain, so he was trying to hurry and get his tent up, and then it started doing weird stuff again, lights coming out of it, that was the thing that really got me, is the lights coming down.
You mean shining down?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
like a huge, like when you have a sail, they got the big spotlight, you can see it.
Yes.
It was big like that, but solid light all the way down. It was just as bright at the top as it was at the bottom.
Oh, interesting.
But it seemed kind of flat, and like it was scanning where the loggers were. And
in other words, it didn't look like a circular kind of like cone of light. It was more flat, like a scanner would be.
Yeah, it was very solid.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very solid, and it didn't seem, dimensional. It seemed flat to me.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe a helicopter, but I mean, inside I knew it wasn't a helicopter, but that's the only thing I could come up with that it could be. So I ran over to Jen, who was head in her car, and I'm like grabbing her arm. What is that? What's that light? And she looks up, and she seemed pretty surprised. She saw it changing colors, red and white, and so she said maybe it's the hikers because they have the headlamps going up the mountain. I'm like, that's not hikers. She goes, I know, I got to go through the list. She's like out loud because Jen's very matter of fact and
very analytical.
Very,
yeah. And you just woke her up from her sleep, so let's figure this out.
She'd been driving and up late, and it was late already, and
right.
long and close. Anyway, so she's just standing there and kind of like in disbelief, and I'm waiting for her to process it. And then she's like, "Oh, it's not this and this." And so I said, "Could it be a helicopter?" And she goes, "No, it's not a helicopter." Like my thing was, but I was trying to help. And then when she just
So then
she
Karen came over too, didn't she?
that was later.
Oh.